Sinister stories.
The moon hung low in the sky, casting an ethereal glow upon the dense woods that surrounded the town of Elmwood. A group of friends, dressed in an array of costumes, trudged through the underbrush. It was Halloween night, and they were on a quest to find the elusive party that had promised an unforgettable night. The invitation, cryptic and mysterious, led them into the heart of the forest, where the trees whispered secrets and the shadows seemed to dance with malevolent glee. 2 hours of fruitless wandering left the group disheartened. They considered abandoning their search, a decision that would forever alter the course of their lives. As they turned to leave, a distant echo reached their ears, a rhythmic beat that hinted at revelry and laughter. Intrigued, they followed the sound, hoping it would lead them to a hidden enclave of Halloween merriment. The forest began to thin, and the flicker of distant lights emerged through the trees. The group stepped into a clearing, jaws dropping in awe. Before them stood an elaborate setup, a sprawling Halloween party in full swing. Colorful lights adorned the trees, and the air buzzed with the hum of laughter and lively chatter. Relief washed over the group, their disappointment replaced by the promise of festivities. With masks still concealing their identities, they entered the celebration, blending seamlessly with the costumed crowd. No one questioned their presence. In this enchanted forest, anonymity was their ally. As the night unfolded, the group lost themselves in the rhythm of the music and the whirlwind of the festivities. It felt like a dream, a surreal escape from the mundane into a realm where reality and fantasy danced in perfect harmony. As the clock neared midnight, a subtle shift occurred. The once boisterous crowd hushed, and an air of anticipation settled over the gathering. The group exchanged curious glances, sensing that something extraordinary was about to unfold. At the center of the clearing, a group of cloaked figures emerged, carrying an ornate, ancient-looking box. The crowd parted, creating a path for the mysterious procession. The friends watched in silence as the figures began to chant in a language that sent shivers down their spines. As the chanting reached a fevered pitch, a figure materialized from the shadows, a being that seemed to exist at the intersection of nightmare and reality. It towered over the cloaked figures, its eyes gleaming with an otherworldly intensity. The group recoiled in horror as they understood the gravity of the situation. They were not at a Halloween party. They were unwitting guests at a demonic cult's ritual. Whispers of disbelief circulated among the crowd. The once festive atmosphere now crackled with an unsettling energy. The cloaked figures, their faces obscured by shadows, prostrated themselves before the otherworldly being, offering cryptic prayers and gestures. In the tense silence that followed, the friends weighed their options. Panic set in as they realized the danger of their predicament. They were in the midst of a cult that danced on the precipice of the supernatural, and escape seemed an impossible feat. As the ritual unfolded, the otherworldly being, hungry for a sacrifice, fixated its gaze on a member of the cult. A young woman, her face obscured by a hood, stepped forward willingly. The crowd watched in morbid fascination as she placed her hand on an ancient box. The box pulsed with a dark energy, and the shadows enveloped the sacrificial offering. A collective gasp echoed through the clearing as the woman's form disintegrated, absorbed by the otherworldly force within. The friends, paralyzed with horror, exchanged terrified glances. Escape became imperative, but the darkness seemed to close in around them. Every attempt to slip away went unnoticed. The cult was immersed in the aftermath of their sinister ritual. As the last echoes of the ritual faded, the cloaked figures bowed once more to the otherworldly being, their reverence evident in their trembling forms. The vortex in the ancient box sealed shut, leaving the clearing cloaked in an eerie silence. Sweat-soaked costumes clung to the friends' trembling bodies as they seized an opportunity to slip away. The path through the forest, once illuminated by the ethereal glow of the party, now seemed to stretch endlessly into the unknown. Soon their efforts were thwarted, and the hooded figures quickly surrounded them. The group of friends huddled together, their eyes darting from one hooded cult member to another. Their escape had been foiled, and they were now trapped, encircled by the sinister figures who had orchestrated the demonic ritual. One of the cultists, the tallest among them, stepped forward, his voice a guttural murmur that sent chills down the friends' spines. "You were not meant to witness our ceremony," he hissed, his words dripping with malevolence. "And now, you shall become part of it." In that eerie moment, the ancient woods seemed to close in around them, as though the very trees themselves were complicit in the cult's malefic plot. Panic welled up within the group, but there was no way out, no escape from the tightening noose of darkness and doom. The cultists, their eyes hidden beneath the shadowy hoods, began to encircle the friends more closely. It was then that a glimmer of hope emerged, an escape route, albeit a treacherous one. A narrow trail, barely discernible in the moonlight, wound its way deeper into the woods. With the cult members momentarily distracted by their sinister plans, one of the friends, Sam, nodded subtly toward the hidden path. The group, their fear overcoming their hesitation, made a split-second decision to bolt for the escape route. They broke ranks and sprinted toward the darkened trail, their footsteps echoing through the silent woods. The cultists reacted swiftly, giving chase with an uncanny swiftness that belied their hooded appearances. Branches clawed at the friends' costumes as they ran, and the thudding of their hearts synchronized with the pounding of their footsteps. Through the labyrinthine twists and turns of the woods they fled, guided only by the pale light of the moon above. It was as though the forest itself conspired to conceal their escape from the malevolent grasp of the cult. Yet, the relentless pursuit of the hooded figures was a reminder that the danger had not abated. The friends stumbled into a clearing, their breathless respite cut short by a gruesome discovery. A series of old, moss-covered stones arranged in a circle, eerily reminiscent of the ritual site they had just fled. Panic and dread coursed through them as they realized the forest itself was an accomplice in the cult's nefarious designs. With the cult closing in, the friends had little choice but to take refuge behind the looming stones. Huddled together, they listened in horrified silence as the cultists' footsteps drew nearer. The hooded figures emerged into the clearing, their eyes gleaming with unholy fervor. It was then that they began to chant, their voices rising in a crescendo of malevolent energy that sent shivers down the friends' spines. Suddenly, the ancient stones seemed to come alive, their surfaces pulsating with an unnatural luminescence. The cultists' voices intertwined with the ethereal glow, and an unholy power descended upon the clearing. In their hideout, the friends exchanged bewildered glances. They had unwittingly stumbled upon another of the cult's rituals, one that was bound to their presence. Their hope for escape dwindled as the ritual's arcane power entrapped them. As the chanting reached its zenith, the stones shuddered, and the friends felt an invisible force enveloping them. It was as though the very essence of their beings was being drawn into the ritual, their identities threatened with obliteration. Desperation and terror surged through the group. They clung to one another, their connection serving as an anchor against the encroaching darkness. It was in that moment of unity that they found a shred of strength. With a collective surge of willpower, they resisted the ritual's pull, clawing their way out of its grasp. Their escape came at a price, a portion of their souls forever bound to the forest's malevolent heart. Gasping for breath and trembling with fear, they fled the clearing as the ritual's power waned. The cultists, their faces contorted in frustration, watched their escape with impotent rage. The friends sprinted through the woods, their hearts pounding with terror, until they finally emerged on the outskirts of Elmwood. The moon cast its pale light upon their haggard faces as they rejoined civilization, leaving the horrors of the ancient woods behind. Elmwood, blissfully unaware of the supernatural events transpiring within its enchanted woods, awoke to the remnants of Halloween. The town resumed its ordinary rhythm, oblivious to the thin veil that separated reality from the unfathomable depths lurking in the shadows. The friends, forever changed by the spectral encounter, scattered to the winds. Each carried the weight of that night's revelation, a revelation that shattered the illusion of safety and normalcy.